We back with another fucking video. You know what I'm saying? And I know what I'm saying. You feel me?
You don't know what you're saying.
But do you know what I'm saying? But I know what you're saying.
Shit, all I know is Scariest Real Phone calls from ever recorded.
Yeah, it's some different shit.
But it's some real video?
Something like that.
Alright. There is.
Something like that. Said we just chest it out. This the first time, you stupid bitch. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Anyways.
Hey, I know you're not. I know not to say that
so
word, Carl.
Got down. Run the motherfucking, you know what I'm saying? Yes, sir. Better jump into this shit, you know what I'm saying? Dumb way, yeah.
This better have a video.
And good, but sometimes they're bad or mysterious, and at other times just downright creepy. Here are real recordings of scary phone calls that will give you nightmares. Dog warning. Dogs are a man's best friend. Or at least, that's what you think. But it turns out some people have a very sinister way of viewing animals. This recorded phone message comes from a man named John Dickerson's co-worker. One of Jonathan's co-worker's neighbors has called him. In the phone call, he says that his dog is disturbing the neighborhood. He says that he needs to train his dog better or get rid of the dog.
Your dog.
Listen, tell that dog to shut the fuck up.
Wait, so that nigga went in his house and told him that your dog, like, whatever he's gonna say right now. That's what happened?
He called him.
Okay. I thought he was inside his house.
It's a phone call.
Disturbs the neighborhood at night. Either keep him up or get rid of him.
That's pretty pushy, but not too creepy. But it soon turns incredibly dark and sinister.
Either keep him up or get rid of him, or I will poison him. This is your only warning.
The neighbor then says if nothing is done about the dog, he will poison it. He ends the message by saying, "This is your only warning." Not only is what he's saying incredibly creepy and also against the law, but it's also very sinister the way he says it. He sounds very calm and collected, and it did not seem like he was joking or exaggerating whatsoever. To make matters even stranger, the dog in question is tiny, and it lives indoors almost all the time. It's also not a very loud dog and does not bark very often. Jonathan has not posted any updates about this since, so we can only assume that the dog is fine and the neighbor never poisoned it. But it takes a really evil person to say they would do this to a dog. Dogs are like children to a lot of people, so this is seriously scary to hear. The weepy-voiced maniac. The voice in this call is from Paul Michael Stefani. He is also known as the Minneapolis Maniac. He took several lives in Minneapolis in the USA during the 1980s. But unlike other people who take lives, he would call the police in hysterics after doing so. He would be weeping and crying and saying how sorry he was for what he'd just done.
Sorry, I killed that girl. I stabbed her 40 times. Kimberly Compton was the first one. Over I don't know what's the matter with me. I'm sick.
It must have been really creepy for the cop who picked up this call. Just imagine hearing a weeping, crying, and screaming voice, and then finding out that same voice is from a man who took many lives. Clearly, this guy was crazy and not mentally all there. Thankfully, in 1982, one of his would-be victims got away. She then led police.
Brawler, it's time!
Go away!
You are needed!
Police to Stefani and he was arrested. Area 51 call. In 1997, a man called the Art Bell Talk Show. The man said that he had worked at the Area 51 base in Nevada, USA. This is the most secretive military base in the world. It's been confirmed that futuristic military aircraft are worked on here, and many say that real UFO and alien investigations also take place at Area 51. The man on the call wanted to share information about alien life. He was trying to share the secrets that he'd learned from working at Area 51.
Okay, what we're thinking of as aliens are they're extra dimensional beings that an earlier precursor of
See, you couldn't even believe what he's saying. He sound like he on crack right now.
Sound like he's about to cry.
Other shit. Yeah, he sound like he about to cry. Like he just depressed. And he delusional. He seeing shit.
It sounds like he hasn't got sleep for a long time.
Yeah, like he going crazy. Like he losing his shit.
Mhm.
The space program made contact with. They are not what they claim to be. They have infiltrated a lot of aspects of the military establishment, particularly the Area 51.
But as you can hear in the phone call, he was terrified. In the call, he says that they are going to find me. I'm not sure what he meant by they, but I assume it means the government or military. But here's where it gets crazy. Midway through the call, the radio station's power goes out. This happened out of nowhere and they did not know why. When they got back on air, the caller was gone. And to this day, he's never called back in. Maybe whoever they were really did get to the caller. Or maybe the power going out was simply a coincidence. I don't really believe that it was a coincidence, and I think that perhaps the radio station's power was taken out.
If they were aliens, the aliens zipped that nigga. They say, you said too much. Off that nigga. He go.
Imagine that shit though. Aliens taking over the government, and now they taking a part of the U.S. society. Now they just have us controlled. Like, what if we just working and wasting our time, like making energy for the aliens? Like, what if we just wasting our time? Like, they have our life controlled, like, in the palm of their hands. They know what all our lives is gonna be.
I don't give a fuck about fuck the government. Come this way, they gonna get. Now, come on. Well, you better go and get back to the video.
Hell yeah.
Out. The Toronto Stud. If you're a woman, maybe you've had this same kind of thing happen to you. A man approaches you trying to pick you up, but he does it in a very creepy and arrogant way. That's kind of what happens in this very cringe yet terrifying phone call. The uploader said this man was named Dimitri, but she jokingly calls him the Toronto Stud.
Why I approached you. I am single. I have no trouble meeting women. I mean, women approach me 6-7 times a day. I couldn't take my eyes off of you, and your friends were very jealous. Even if they say they weren't, they were envious at the fact that I approached you.
At the beginning, he seems like a very confident guy, but as the call goes on, it's clear he's very narcissistic. He says he's approached by women all the time, but he's very picky. He also said that the woman's friends would be jealous that he approached her, even if they said they weren't. Clearly, Dimitri is far too overconfident to the point where it becomes cringeworthy. But by his second phone call, he turns from cringe to scary. The end of his phone call seems like he's implying something bad would happen if this woman ever called him back.
Hi there, old guy. It's Dimitri calling again, the guy from the street. I left you a message several days ago. I don't know, maybe you were abused in childhood, maybe your mother has cancer, you're going to chemo, but otherwise, don't call me, okay? Bye.
I'm not sure why she'd ever want to call him after hearing those two very creepy voicemails. Bigfoot call. To some, Bigfoot is simply a legend, while to others, Bigfoot's existence is totally real. This phone call is a 911 call which was made in 1997. It comes from a man who lives in a rural part of Washington state. He said that there was an unidentified creature standing in his backyard. He says the creature is 6 foot and 9 inches tall and standing on 2 legs.
Yes, I'm looking right at him.
Uh-oh. Okay, hang on.
He's right.
Is he in your yard, sir?
Yeah, God, he's big.
Okay, what's he in your yard?
He's looking big.
Oh, the guy is on foot.
I don't know what, he's big, real big person, that's all I can say.
Okay, it is a person.
Bigfoot believers are convinced that this man saw Bigfoot. The man in the call is clearly very freaked out and scared. The 911 dispatcher even checks, saying, is it a person?
Real big person, that's all I can say.
Okay, it is a person.
But the man did not seem convinced and seemed to think it was some kind of other animal or creature. It's not me. This voicemail comes from a YouTube user named Hellsinger85. They say that they received it after investigating some weirdness in their hometown of Amory, Mississippi. The voicemail is incredibly mysterious and creepy, and to this day it's still not been explained.
My cousin told you what happened. And no matter what you do, it won't be.
Some of it is unintelligible, but you can definitely hear someone saying, if I come to your door, don't let me in. They then say, it's not me, it won't be me. The reason for this call has never been discovered, and to this day the caller's identity remains a mystery. The Night Stalker.
That shit crazy. That means someone tried to take his identity, or they had some makeup, and they made it look like it was him that was gonna kidnap whoever at the crib, whatever. Or do something, do whatever.
Yeah, they're gonna use his face for something. And he was trying to warn his family or some shit.
Yeah. So they don't get slaughtered or whatever they better do.
The Night Stalker is a nickname given to the maniac Richard Ramirez. He operated in California in the late 80s. He took 15 people's lives. But the creepy thing is, he would actually call them before he did this. Here is one of those calls. You can't quite make out what he's saying. He's breathing very heavily. But even if you can't tell what he's saying, it still sounds very scary. Just imagine receiving this call late one night. Rainbow Granny. These voicemails come from Chessie J.
This is Rainbow Granny, baby. Did you get my picture? You better call me, or I'm gonna keep calling you. Rainbow Granny loves you, baby. I was on the phone with my son. If you get time, call me back. I miss you, Peter. I'm still waiting on them beautiful purple flowers, baby.
The phone calls are from a very creepy-voiced, deranged individual calling themselves Rainbow Granny. Rainbow Granny keeps referring to Chessie as Peter, and also keeps asking if she got his other messages. It's hard to tell if Rainbow Granny is a man or an elderly woman. At one point,
That was definitely a nigga.
Yeah, it does sound like a. It doesn't sound like a guy.
Definitely a nigga.
I was thinking like
Definitely
Tyler Perry type shit.
Definitely a nigga.
Rainbow Granny asks, did you get my pictures? It's not known what this picture was of, as Chessie did not receive anything. Some believe this could have been an elderly woman who'd lost her mind, or maybe a very deranged man, but we really don't know, and to this day Rainbow Granny remains a total mystery. Those were some scary phone calls, but what are the scariest phone numbers in the world? It turns out there are many scary phone numbers you need to avoid. I recommend you never call any of these, and if any of them call you, make sure you don't pick up. 09044444444. This phone number comes from Japan. If you don't live in Japan, you can't call this number unless you use the country code, which is 81. In Japan, this number is known as Sadaku's number. Japanese people say this number is so scary that you should never call it. There are 8 4s in this number, and in Japanese, 4 is she. This word is very similar to the Japanese word for death. Those who have called this number claim they've heard terrifying sounds. This is normally the sound of muffled screaming. One person who called the number posted on a forum saying it was like dialing hell itself. As if this number could not get creepier, it's also said to be cursed. If you hang up, these scary noises will of course end, but you will then be cursed. It's said that many people who call this number pass away within a week of calling, whereas others believe this is merely a coincidence. It's also said that the movie The Ring was based off this phone number. 088888.
If they say people are dying, why the fuck would you call the number?
Bro, it's because they hype it up and shit, trying to make other people call it and shit. Who the fuck? Might have to go undercover real quick.
Who is that?
Oh, there's another car right there. That was a perfect time.
That shit crazy. They pull the next one?
No. I'm about to say, fuck.
Yeah.
I'm dumb one. And he got a whole nother number. He said 888.
Yeah, I never
The
saw it.
444 shit was creepy because he said in Japanese it means death, 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 death. Like you're pretty much calling death. Like I get that shit. But what the fuck is this shit? 888.
88888. This is a Bulgarian phone number which is said to be cursed. That sounds far-fetched, but it's had lots of mainstream news coverage. The number is owned by the cell phone provider Mobitel, and the first owner of this number was the CEO of Mobitel. That was until he passed away from an illness at age 48. But his passing was always suspicious. Many believed that a business rival had taken him out using radioactive poison. Next, the phone number went to a Bulgarian mafia boss. This man named Konstantin Dimitrov was soon taken out. Just 2 years after getting the number, he was the victim of a drive-by. The phone number then went to a corrupt businessman, and much like the mafia boss, he was also gunned down. By then, many people had realized the creepy coincidence with this phone number. So the phone number's owner, Mobitel, took the number offline. This was so that no one else could get caught up with the curse.
What's the only egg for? I haven't had an orgasm.
YouTube.
This sounds crazy and paranormal, but it really did happen. If you call the number today, you will get a message saying the phone number is no longer within network coverage. If you're superstitious or scared of this number, it may be best not to call it even though it's no longer active. Some believe that by merely calling this deactivated number, you could be cursed as well. 120-740-42604. I'm sure you're familiar with the 2013 horror movie Carrie. It was based on the very creepy novel by Stephen King. When the movie was first shown in theaters, a number appeared at the end of the movie. The number 120-740-42604 allowed you to call Carrie. Carrie being the very scary girl from the movie. When you called this number, it would instantly hang up on you. But then a new number would start calling you. Over time, you would actually get up to 3 calls back. The first call would be loud screaming, the second call would be a creepy singing woman, and the third and final call would be a creepy whisper. Some say that the number is active and you can still call it, while others say it no longer works. But you can find many YouTube videos of people calling this very scary number and being creeped out. 121-633-31810. In 2007, one man was at a Nine Inch Nails concert. He went to use the bathroom, but inside one of these stools he found a USB. When he got home, he plugged in the USB. The only file on it was a single sound file. The sound file was nothing too creepy, it sounded like crickets chirping. But he was intrigued, so he looked into it further. Eventually he ran the sound file through a spectrograph program, and when he did this, this number appeared. When you call this number, audio is played of a US wiretap. The wiretap features a woman calling her mother from the bathroom of a bar. She also screams for help about a maniac with a knife.
Hello? Robbie! Robbie! Robbie, are you there? Oh my god, I'm at the club and Mia, what the hell? I'm gonna die! Oh my god, we're gonna die! Mia, what's going on?
It's incredibly creepy and scared a lot of people who called the number. Some believe that this was a marketing stunt by the band Nine Inch Nails, but others say that people have made this up to cover up the true nature of this phone number. Whether this was a promotion by Nine Inch Nails or a real-life mysterious phone number, it's very creepy to call either way. Red.
But we gonna end that shit right there. We got down. Don't call them fucking numbers. Fuck you
Hell
calling.
no. There's no, like, why the fuck would they even tell you the numbers? Because they want people to call them.
Exactly.
Like,
But
there's
and
like,
you know, it's always gonna be that one dumb motherfucker to call the number today. Boom. Down the
shit, on some high shit, if I lived by myself and I had nothing to lose, like, I would probably be the nigga calling that number, but right now I wouldn't be calling that number, but on some high shit, if I really had nothing to lose, I'll be calling that number. I can see how niggas can do that shit. And Darius is like, damn, Muhammad's on the other side.
He's one of those. Couldn't be me.
I'm not one of those. I'm saying I can see how people can do it. I would never do that shit right now. But I'm saying I can see how people could do it. Because I would.
That. I ain't playing my life like that. Hell no.
But I can see that perspective.
I am not playing my life like that. They can go play their life like that. It won't be me. Don't put me in none of that shit.
Let us know how you be fucking with these videos.
Let us know. Let us know. Hey, would you call the number? Fuck you talking about, not me. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that good shit. Yeah.
Dumb way.
Fuck with the youngin'. Yeah, the dumb way.
Stay retarded.